morning, dear students. I am Ms. Navida Sheikh from Brahan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika MCGM virtual class. I welcome all my dear students to another and interesting session. In today's session, we'll be learning something new and interesting from a science textbook. So let's get started. Good morning, dear students. I am Ms. Navida Sheikh. Welcome all my dear students to another and interesting session. I am from MCGM virtual class, and today's class is for standard 10th, and we're going to study from your Science 1 textbook, the next chapter, that is periodic classification of elements. Now, we have learnt about what are atoms, what are elements, what are molecules in our previous standards, right? And in order to study them properly and in a correct manner and easily, it needs to be classified. So that we are going to study in this chapter. Okay, so let's get started. In this chapter, we are going to study about elements and their classification, Drobinier's triads, Newland's law of octaves, Mendeleev's periodic table, modern periodic table. So this is how we are going to move ahead in the chapter. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to start with is elements and their classification. So let's get started. Now, if you see around your self, you see so many objects, right? You see your tables, you see your wall, you see objects like your stationery. You must be having stationery in front of you, or utensils, right? Now, all things that are there, including your body, okay? Everything is made up of matter. We have learned that there are tiny particles which makes the matter. Okay, any object is made up of that, those tiny particles, which is named as matter. Matter, it is something which makes up all objects and organisms. The three states of matter that we studied was solid, that is the particles are tightly packed together, and you have liquids, the particles have enough space to slide past each other, and then you have the gaseous state of matter. The particles are constantly moving at high speed. So here in this image you can see how the particles in a gas, how the particles in the liquid, and how the particles in solid are placed. Okay, in solid you see they are tightly packed, in liquid they are loosely, they have enough space to move, and in gas they are very loosely, they are not even attached properly to each other. Okay, so they can constantly move around. So we can say that matter is anything that occupies space and has mass. The next thing is element. The matter, if you break it down, and you get element. Now element is a substance consisting of only one type of atom. We have learned what is an atom, right? If you do not remember, don't worry, we'll learn about that also. So the different types of elements that are known to us are metals, non-metals, and metalloids. You have learned about this in your 8th standard. Okay, the different types of elements, that is like, for example, hydrogen, you have helium, boron, sodium, fluorine, nitrogen, aluminium, potassium, chromium, chlorine. Now these are all simple examples of the things that you make use of in your day-to-day life. Now water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, then you eat eggs every day, it has nitrogen in it. Okay, then you eat bananas, you have potassium in it. So these are all elements that things that are there around you are made up of elements that are there. Okay, so these elements that we learned are classified as three types: metals, non-metals, and metalloids. Now, which is the smallest particle of matter and what is it called? So the answer is atom. We have learned that the smallest particle of matter is known as an atom, right? So atoms are the smallest unit of matter, were named by the Greek philosopher Democritus. It was a Greek word which comes from atomus, meaning cannot be divided. Okay, so atom is the smallest particle. We have learned this. We have learned about the parts also, but we will quickly revise about that. Now, what did we study? That anything that you have, any object that you have is made up of matter. Matter has molecules, and these molecules, if you further divide it, you get atoms. Okay, and inside atoms also you have further things like the nucleus, neutrons, protons, and electrons. So, in our previous class, we have learned that the atom is the smallest particle, and that all atoms of an element are of only one type. Means any element, if you take any element, it is made up of only one type of atom. Okay, so today 118 elements are known to us in the scientific world. Earlier there were about only 30 elements which were known to the scientists at around 1800 years ago. Okay, so more number of elements were discovered in the course of time. More and more information was gathered about the properties of these elements, and to ease the study of such a large number of elements, scientists started studying the pattern, if any, was present in the past information that they had got. You know that in the initial classification, elements were classified in the groups of metals and non-metals only. Okay, so in your 8th standard, you learned about metals and non-metals, that elements, some possess metallic properties are called as metals, some possess non-metallic properties are non-metals. Like that, initially they started classifying it as that. But later, they had another class of elements called as metalloids, which possesses both the properties. Okay, so as the knowledge about elements and their properties went on increasing, different scientists started trying out different methods of classification. So I hope this much is clear. Why are we studying this chapter and how this chapter has come into existence? Because initially there were only few elements which were known to them. But over the period of time, they started collecting information and they wanted to study about that all the elements in detail and properly. So in order to make it convenient and easy, they started to classify the elements. Okay, the same way we classify plants and animals, you have learned about them. Same way we're going to see whether there are certain dissimilarities or something, some particular way of arranging the elements and then studying them. Okay, so let's see what happens. So we studied all substances are made up of atoms of elements. It is difficult to remember the properties of each and every element. So making a table system based on their basic properties will make it easy to remember, comparing and differentiating. Here comes the importance of periodic table. Okay, so it has a history to understand that you should be familiar with certain terminologies such as atomic structure, atomic number, atomic mass, etc. So let us revise those things and then we will continue ahead. Okay, so first let us revise all this. What is the meaning of structure of element, and what is atomic mass, atomic number. All this thing is related to the further part of the chapter. So let's get started. Now this structure of atom comprises of the center part, that is the nucleus, which possesses neutrons and protons. Okay, and in the outermost part you have the electrons. We have learned about the charges also of protons, electrons and neutrons. We have seen that outside the nucleus you have orbits or shells. Okay, the first shell has 2 electrons, after that the second shell has 8 electrons and the third shell has 18 electrons. These are the basic things that you have learned. This is how the atoms are placed and the electrons and the protons move. Okay, in the center you have the nucleus which possesses protons and neutrons. Outside that you have orbits which are rotating like we have in the solar system. Okay, and where the planets are placed, in place of that you have the electrons placed. Okay, here you can see oxygen atom and the aluminium atom, and you can see how the electrons are moving in the outermost orbit. Now atoms and molecules. When you have one single atom of helium, it looks like this. Okay, He. Okay, single atom of helium. When you have two atoms or more than two atoms of the same type, okay, I'm mentioning same type, like here over here hydrogen, two hydrogen molecules are placed together. That means this is two hydrogen atoms are placed together, that means it forms a molecule of hydrogen. Now if you see the third one, that is a compound. Compound means when you have a mixture of two or more molecules, it forms a compound. Now you have two hydrogen and one oxygen, which forms a compound of water. Okay, so atoms, molecules and compound. This is how it goes on. Okay, so molecules of elements and molecules of compound, you can see how it is arranged. Molecules of hydrogen means there will be same atoms, okay, same types of atoms in the element. And when we talk about compounds, you will have different elements mixed together, okay, to form a compound, like the molecule of water, like the molecule of hydrogen chloride. Okay, now let's move on to the next part, and a very important thing. You have learned about atom elements, right? Elements are denoted with the help of symbols like He for helium. Okay, there are two numbers which are written, one at the top and one below. When you see that the number which is written at the top is called as the atomic number, and one which is written below is known as the atomic mass. Okay, these two numbers you have to remember. What is the meaning of these two numbers? Let's see that, and then we'll the chapter actual part. Now, atomic number. If you count the number of protons in an atom, that gives you the atomic number of that element. Okay, so the number of protons present in an atom is the atomic number of that element. Atomic number on the periodic table, here you can see if you have sodium, this 11 that you see is the atomic number of the element. Okay, that means it has 11 protons present in its nucleus. Na is the symbol for sodium. What is the meaning of mass number? Mass number means the count of the neutrons and protons in the nucleus of an atom is called as the mass number. Okay, so everything which is related this year we are learning is about the nucleus. Okay, so first atomic number, and then now atomic number. So atomic mass number is what? The number of protons and neutrons, when you add them up, you get the atomic mass number. That is 12 over here in the case of carbon atom. You have 6 protons, 6 neutrons. When you add them up, it gives you 12. And that 12 is the atomic mass of carbon. Now interpreting the chemical symbol. If you have a number, if you have a symbol given like this O, and up you have written as 16 and below it is 8. This 8 resembles the atomic number and 16 is the mass number of oxygen. Okay, O is the chemical symbol. So it is easy for us to understand. Mass number is protons plus neutrons, and atomic number is the number of protons present. Okay, and remember the number of protons and number of electrons are equal. So atomic number is the number of protons in an atom. Each oxygen atom has 8 protons. As the number of electron is equal to the number of protons in an atom, each oxygen atom contains 8 electrons. Okay, so this was done over a period of time. Scientists have come up with such great information that they found out over the period of time. Okay, so you have to remember what is the meaning of atomic number and what is atomic mass number. These are two important things that you have to remember throughout the chapter. Now we will go stepwise in understanding how the periodic table was classified. Okay, how the elements were classified according each and every era of the scientists which came up, and they gave their theories. Okay, they gave up their laws in order to classify the elements that were known at that time. Okay, as we have learned that initially there were only few elements known to them, so they classified those elements according to what pattern they found out. So there is a stepwise development of the periodic table. First will be Robinier's law of triads, Newland's law of octave, Mendeleev's old periodic law, and Moseley's modern periodic law. Now the first one that we are going to study today is Robinier's triad. The word triads comes, it clicks in your mind that something related to 3 will be mentioned, right? So that is correct. We'll be learning about that. Let's see what exactly say. Johann Wolfgang Robinier, he was a German scientist. He suggested that properties of elements are related to their atomic masses. See, I told you, you have to remember the meaning of atomic mass and atomic number throughout the chapter because this will be mentioned again and again. So, atomic masses means the number of protons and neutrons in an atom. Okay. So, Robinier suggested that properties of elements are related to their atomic masses. He made groups of 3 elements each. Okay, having similar chemical properties and called them as triads. He arranged the 3 elements in a triad in an increasing order of atomic mass and showed that the atomic mass of the middle element was approximately equal to the mean of the atomic mass of the other 2 elements. However, all the elements known could not be classified into the Robinier's triad. Now, let's actually see what he actually did. So let us see how did he arrange the elements. He arranged the elements in the group of threes and named it as triads. Okay. So what did he actually mean by the triad is he arranged the triads, the elements in the increasing order of their atomic masses. Okay. So you have lithium, sodium, potassium. We'll take this example. And he said that the atomic mass of the middle element is approximately equal to the mean of the atomic masses of the other 2 elements. Mean means you have to add them, the 2 elements, and then you have to divide it by 2. You get the mean. So here what are we doing is this first triad comprises of lithium, which has the atomic mass of 6.9, and potassium, its atomic mass is 39. You get the mean of this 2 elements and you get the answer as 23, which is equal to the atomic mass of sodium. Okay, so the atomic mass of sodium is the mean of atomic masses of lithium and potassium. So with this he said that this way we could arrange the elements in the form of triads. So let's see. The second triad was formed by calcium, barium and strontium. When you add and you get the mean, you get it 87, which is equal to the mean atomic mass of strontium. The third triad is formed by chlorine, iodine and bromine. When you formulate and you get it equal to the atomic mass of bromine. The next triad, the fourth triad, was of sulfur, tellurium and selenium. When you get the mean of the atomic masses of strontium and selenium, you get it equal to selenium, the atomic mass of selenium. Okay, so with this it was getting much clear to Robinier that this could be a way of arranging the elements. But the atomic mass of phosphorus is not equal to the mean of atomic masses of nitrogen and vanadium. So this triad was not obeying the Robinier's rule that he was trying to put forth. So Robinier's rule has certain drawbacks, which was this, that not all element will show this similarity. Okay, so the atomic masses of certain elements were not equal to what he was suggesting. So this was the drawback of Robinier's rule. Here is a picture of the elements and symbols and their atomic masses, which he had arranged according to the increasing order of the atomic masses. And when you add the first and the third element's atomic mass and get the mean of it, it will be approximately equal to the second element's atomic mass. Okay, mass number. So with this, I hope you have a clear idea about what exactly Robinier's triad was meant and what he actually did with the elements and how did he arrange them. The next scientist was Newlands. Now the next law that we are going to learn is Newland's law of octaves. Now octave gets you a word of 8, right? जैसे हम लोग ने ट्राइड पढ़े तो ट्राइड में 3 आता है. ट्राई मीन्स 3 के बारे में 3 एलिमेंट से रिलेटेड कुछ होगा. अब यहाँ पर ऑक्टेव आ रहा है तो ऑक्टेव मीन्स रिलेटेड टू 8. So let's understand what was he trying to say. So he was an English chemist, John Alexander Newlands, in 1865 propounded the law of octaves. According to the law of octave, when elements are placed in increasing order of their atomic mass, see again we're mentioning atomic mass, every eighth element shows similarity with the preceding eighth element in their physical and chemical properties. Okay, so just reading it out, it doesn't get clear. So let's have a look at Newland's law of octave. As we learned that Newland had he had arranged the elements in their increasing atomic masses, and he found that the first element and the eighth element had the similar physical and chemical properties. So when he arranged it, he found that the eighth one and the first one had the similar chemical and physical properties. Now he related to the law of music, that is the notes that are used in music, it related to that. Okay, the first and the eighth note are similar in music. Similar to that, he named it as Newland's law of octave. So Newland's law states when the elements are arranged in an increasing order of their atomic masses, the properties of the eighth element are similar to the first one. Okay, they are similar, not exactly same. Now, in the year 1866, Newland arranged these elements known at that time, okay, in an increasing order of their atomic masses. He started with the lightest element, that is hydrogen, and ended up to thorium. He found that every eighth element, okay, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. तो जो eighth element है, उसकी property और the first था, उसकी property similar थी. ठीक है? So for example, sodium जो है, sodium is the eighth element. Okay? Sodium is the eighth element from lithium and both have similar properties. Also, magnesium shows similarity to beryllium and chlorine shows similarity with fluorine. Newlands compared this similarity with the octaves in music. He called the similarity observed in the eighth and the first element as the law of octaves. Now, after that, he also found out that there were many things that could not be done in this according to what he put forth. So many limitations were found in Newland's octaves. This law was found to be applicable only up to calcium. Newlands fitted all the known elements in a table of 7 into 8, that is 56 boxes. At that time only 56 elements were known. Okay, so Newlands placed 2 elements each in same boxes to accommodate all the known elements in the table. For example, copper and nickel, and moreover he placed some elements with different properties under the same note in the octave. So he also did not leave a place for the new elements which could be discovered later. Okay, he knew that he was a scientist. He knew that later on there will be few more elements which will be discovered. So, but he did not leave any provision for those elements. Okay, he did not place any empty space so that the elements which will be found out later or discovered later could be placed in that law of octave. Okay, so this, as I'm telling you again and again, it is related to the law of music. Now, how is it related to that? In our Indian music system, there are 7 main notes, that is sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni, and their collection is called as saptak. The frequency of the note goes on increasing from sa to ni. Okay, but When you come, then comes the sa of the upper saptak at the double frequency of the original sa. Means when you end this sa re ga ma pa dha ni, and then again you say sa, that sa which comes has the similar sound as the first one, right? So it means that notes repeat after completion of one saptak. The 7 notes in the Western music are Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti. And again, the note Do, having double the original frequency, comes again at the 8th place. So this is the octave of Western notes. Music is created by variety in the use of these notes only. So I hope these two things are clear for today. In the next coming period, we'll be learning about 2 more scientists and how the actual periodic table which we are actually using nowadays came, and how it is arranged, that we'll be learning in the next coming period. Till then, thank you.
If you like our video, please subscribe to our channel and do not forget to hit the like button. I hope this session was quite useful to you. In the next coming period, we'll learn something new and interesting. Till then, thank you.